Just as Trump's second impeachment trial is set to begin in the Senate in February, his approval rating among the Republican base is actually going back up, with a 9% increase in supporters wanting him to play a major role in the GOP since those January 6th Capitol riots.
So lucky for them, it seems that Trump is here to stay. He announced the opening of an office of former president, which will manage his post-presidential life. And Democratic strategist Andrew Feldman and culture reporter at The Federalist, Henry Jashinsky, they join us now to weigh in. So, Emily, this is what I'm interested in, is that Trump's approval rating has gone up, actually, since the Capitol riots amongst Republicans. It seems he's never had more of a hold on the base. There doesn't seem any, chance whatsoever at impeachment. How is this going to govern itself how is this going to govern itself within the GOP and that coalition?
Yeah, I mean, the cultural reasons that the Republican base was attracted to Donald Trump have not changed whatsoever because of the disgusting events on January 6th. I mean, that has not changed. Remember, we have a huge chunk of the public who, for very good reasons, does not trust anybody other than Donald Trump, because everybody had lied to them. Their financial institutions had lied to them. Hollywood had lied to them. Science, capital S science, had lied to them over and over and over again. So the media is the biggest player in all of this. They've been lied to by the mainstream institutions that they were told were objective for literally years and years. And they watched the elites who control those institutions get richer. So it is absolutely no surprise that we still have a huge chunk of the Republican base that approves of Donald Trump. And that's something that Republicans here in Washington, D.C. did not, like, for all of the chaos and exhaustion of the Trump years, they were not able to learn that lesson. They, thought they were reading the temperature of the public and, going in one direction. And they still firmly don't understand. On January 6th, when I was talking to people who had come to Washington, D.C. for that rally that turned into the disgrace that it was, they said that they were loyal to Donald Trump over the Republican Party unanimously. Every single person I talked to said that, and Republicans still don't understand it.
Yeah.
Andrew, it's not lost on me, though, the fact that these two trends have happened at the same time. You both see the base returning fully to the Trump camp as Republican leaders are returning to the Trump camp and tempering some of the initial condemning language that they had used in the aftermath of those riots. So who is following who? Are Republican leaders reading the temperature of the base and going along with it? Or because they're relenting, is the base also going, oh, this must not have been actually so bad?
I think that they're falling in line with Donald Trump. I still think very much that this is Donald Trump's Republican Party. It doesn't matter that he's out of office. The Republican Party of Donald Trump is still strong, and they're going to let them continue to dig their own grave, as we're seeing with some of their loyal soldiers like Marjorie Taylor Greene and others. I think this is going to continue to haunt them for years to come.
So this is the part where I just don't know, Emily, because on an internal basis, it will not haunt them, as in being more pro-Trump. Ask Liz Cheney and look at Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They are actually some of the most popular people in the Republican Party. On a national level, though, how are you ever going to win a state like Georgia if this is what it's all going to be about? How are you ever going to win a state like Arizona? Can you ever win? I mean, Ron Johnson. I don't know if Ron Johnson's going to win re-election now that he's, at least partially in on some of the Stop the Steal. Like, how does that all work out on the national level?
Yeah, I literally just wrote a piece on this for The Federalist talking about how the entire Republican base is not the Trump base. The Trump base is a really big swath of the Republican Party, but it is not the entire Republican Party. So the trick now is to balance maintaining some of those new voters that Trump brought into the party and that he energized, while also, regaining some of those voters in the suburbs. Like the Georgia race is a perfect example of how difficult this balancing act is. And there's one way that Republicans do it, and they just need to fight. They need people to believe that they're fighting. And that's more of the aesthetics of politics than the substance of it. I generally prefer to talk about the substance of it, but from a sort of aesthetic perspective, if you're a Republican strategist right now, you need people out there who are moral. They have to be of upstanding character. And that's something that is, frankly, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a great example of somebody who doesn't fit that. But at the same time, they have to just be people who are not there to gain from the Washington establishment and to go with the flow. And they have to do that convincingly. So you sort of have a very difficult balancing act of those two different needs in the party. It's not easy from a political perspective, nor is it easy on a substantive level.
In fact,
Well,
I
here's
think it
my
might.
challenge.
I think it might be impossible. Go ahead, Andrew.
My one challenge with that is you talk about people that are, Emily talks about people needing to be upstanding individuals. And I see that on people that want to disrupt the status quo on our side, like the Bowmans and the AOC. These people are morally good people. I don't see that on the Republican side. I don't associate
Thomas
all
Massey.
right.
Thomas
Yeah.
Massey is a great
Yeah.
example. Marco
And I
Rubio's been
also,
going
but
against
one
the
thing I would
party
like to say,
establishment.
I would like to just add one thing. I do think this is bad internally for the GOP. I think they're going to see primary races like they've never seen before, and Donald Trump's going to be the leader of those primaries.
Yeah, that's pertinently right. I mean, Emily, just to beat up on Andrew for a second, whenever we start thinking of each other as immoral actors, I think things start to go down the tubes in American politics now.
Well, I think it's probably generally a great rule of thumb that most politicians are moral actors. And when you get ensconced in Washington for a while, it's easy to see them differently. I'm not saying that that's a problem unique to one side or the other. I do think generally people are immoral, but I don't think it's specifically one side is worse than the other, frankly. I think there are a lot of really bad actors on both sides.
All right, we
guys.
will leave those morality judgments for a different day. In general, I don't have any issue really with morality judgments about the people who are here in leadership, who have positions of power, who are misleading and lying to and screwing over their base. The place that I get worried about is when we start saying, oh, this entire swath of the country who we don't know anything really about is evil and immoral. That's where I sort of draw the line. Appreciate you both. Great to have your insights.
See you guys.
Yeah. Coming up, Dr. Trita Parsi weighs in on the new administration's approach to foreign policy in the Middle East. That's when Rising continues.